So these are my blood tests. I said that I was going to get you a test and show you exactly how my blood's turned out and why I think that everyone should get their blood taken. Your blood test tells you what's going on inside. So we can look in the mirror and we can see muscles and we can see low body fat or whatever we can see, but we don't really know what's going on inside. And by taking your bloods, especially when you get my age, past the age of 40, then it becomes even more important because there could be things going on there that you don't know about. So you've got to think of it as almost like an essential part of your yearly. I'm going to start doing this annually. This is the first time I've had it done, by the way, apart from getting it done at the doctor's, which was pretty rubbish compared to this one. This was a real full in-depth blood test that I'm going to go through, but I'm only going to pick out 9 markers. I'm going to pick out 9 essential markers that I feel are really important for people. And then I'm going to go through them, show you exactly what they were, show you what mine were, because there's some of these that I need to work on myself. So I'll be completely honest with these. And just so you know that this is actually my blood test, here we are here. So you've got my name, I'm male, I've got my birthday here, so I'm 43. Am I 43? Yes, I'm 43. Had to think about it there. So you know this is mine, and this was taken, you can get this taken in 2 ways. I went for the full lot. So this was taken like a venous. So this is basically a needle through the arm. I didn't do it myself, my wife done it because she's a nurse and she's a professional. And there's other ways you can do it as well, where you just take like a sample of blood through the capillaries as opposed to the veins. So anyway, this is mine. So you know that's mine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through 9 blood markers that I feel are essential. And I'm going to explain what they are and why they're important and how you can improve those markers. All right, and how I'm going to improve certain markers that I need to work on myself. Okay, so here's the 9 blood markers. So the first one we're going to cover is this one here. HB, this is a key metabolic marker that basically reflects insulin sensitivity. Yeah, basically your ability to remove blood sugar from your system. All right, so this is linked to things like diabetes, weight gain, and low energy. All right, so if this was bad, so if this was below, so if this was, say, lower than this, then I could be at risk of diabetes because my insulin sensitivity is very low. But this indicates that my insulin sensitivity is actually pretty good. So action, I don't need to take any action on this. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, basically. Obviously, that can improve. I can improve that through maybe, I don't know, improving my diet a little bit better. Maybe doing a bit more exercise. Admittedly, I don't do loads of cardio, so maybe if I start doing a bit more cardio, that would improve. But basically, I've got a good balanced diet, eat relatively well, and I exercise daily. I'm not too worried about that. The next one we're going to come to is cholesterol. Okay, so you see that it is a little bit high. Now, on first reflection, it's, ooh, that's high, that's bad. But this is why I'm going to break this down a little bit, okay? So my results are pretty high, as you see. Okay, so what this means is, so high LDL cholesterol, so we'll see we've got LDL and HDL there. High LDL cholesterol increases your risk of heart disease, okay, while total cholesterol is above the range. So if we look at my total cholesterol here, this is why I'm not too worried about it, because it's in a good range. But what I want to bring your attention to is the HDL and the LDLs, because these two here are absolutely crucial. Now, this is the big thing. If you've got high LDLs, which is low density lipoproteins, and you have low HDLs, so we've got optimal ranges there. As you can see, my LDLs are way above what they should be, but also my HDL. So HDL is high density lipoproteins. So think of it this way, okay? Your LDLs, we're going to think of this as, think of it like traffic on the road. That's where we're going to think about it. I'll make an analogy like traffic on the road. So LDLs, these are like big, slow moving trucks. So they're carrying junk, all right, cholesterol, that can clog up the roads, which are your arteries, all right? So if there's too many LDL trucks on the road, basically this leads to blockages, all right? So think about like blockages, we thought about plaque in your arteries. There's too many trucks on the road, and this increases your risk of heart attacks and strokes. So what we need to be able to do, we need to be able to reduce those. We take more trucks off the road. This is where HDLs comes into it. So HDLs, think of these as the good traffic. LDLs are the bad traffic. These are the big chunky trucks on the road. They're taking up all the room. And your HDLs, these are the good traffic. These are like the cleanup crew. So HDLs like fast moving tow trucks. So basically what these do is they go around and they pick up all the broken down trucks that are blocking up the roads, LDLs, and they remove them. That's what they do. And what this does, this helps clear out excess cholesterol. Because basically what it's doing is it's taking it away. So it takes these trucks away. It takes it to the liver, where it can then be broken down and used in the body. So basically, the more HDL, the more good traffic you have on the road, the healthier that you are going to be. Now, because of that, because my HDLs are quite high, even though my LDLs are high, my total cholesterol is actually pretty good. So I'm not too worried about that. But that doesn't mean that I can't work on a few things. So I still want to look at this, and I still want to bring this LDL down, because if I bring that down, then I'm going to be even healthier. So how do I do that? So how I do that is basically increase my fiber intake. So things like vegetables, flax seeds, nuts and seeds, these types of things that have a lot of fiber in the diet, like fiber, contain a lot of fiber. This is why when people talk about like the carnivore diet, like it's the best way to lose weight or all these types of things, what the carnivore diet lacks is fiber. And like fiber is absolutely essential. You can see from that. Like if I increase my fiber intake, I'll be honest, I probably could eat more fiber. And if I just increase my fiber intake, then that will bring that LDL levels back down, which will make my heart health even better. I can reduce my saturated fats. One of the things that I was doing, and I've actually stopped doing this now, I was actually having a lot of cream in my coffee, and I didn't realize how much, but I was probably going through, I was going through at least a pot of cream a week. So I was buying a pot of cream every single week. I do drink a lot of coffee, not over excessive coffee. I have maybe 2 cups a day, but I'm putting cream in my coffee every day. That's high saturated fats, and saturated fats aren't bad, but you've got to get that balance. So I've cut that out now, and what I'll do is I'll just up my healthy fats, so things like omega-3s, olive oils, monounsaturated fats, and this will help balance those LDLs out. And the other side of it is I don't do a lot of cardio apart from walking to school, but maybe I can start putting that in there now, and this would help me. The next one we got is ferritin. Why ferritin matters? So ferritin basically reflects your iron stores, which impacts oxygen transport, so endurance. Think of ferritin is like energy. As you can see, mine's pretty high, so it's good. It's in range. So I've got plenty of energy, got plenty of iron in my diet, which is good. That's what that indicates. It indicates that the foods that I'm eating are high in iron. So that's pretty good. So lean meats and leafy greens. Could I do better? Absolutely. Look, it's 187. 300's the highest. So that gives me a little challenge. Maybe eat more leafy greens and get that over 200. So it gives me something that I can work on. So what does ferritin mean for women, especially? So women are at high risk of low ferritin due to menstruation. Okay, so due to periods, you bleed, then you risk having low iron levels. So with that can lead to fatigue, hair loss, poor recovery. If you are feeling really tight, then that could be an indication that your ferritin levels are quite low. So the next one I'm going to bring you to is these ones here. Just let me highlight in. So you've got TSH, so a thyroid stimulating hormone, triiodine, thyroxine, T4. Basically what these are, this is your metabolism, okay? Metabolism and energy. So why does this even matter? So the thyroid regulates metabolism, so your energy and fat burning capacity. That's probably the best way to think about it. So your thyroid is basically essentially your metabolism. So when people say I've got a low metabolism, then what they're really referring to is the thyroid. The thing with thyroid is that it can be downregulated, and this is especially problematic for women. So women are 5 to 8 times more likely to have thyroid issues than men. So we're talking about hyperthyroidism. So basically you have a low thyroid. You can have a high thyroid as well where your metabolism's overactive, but underactive is the most common one in women. And if you do have low thyroid, then this can cause weight gain, brain fog, fatigue, and even cold intolerance. So if you're feeling colder than usual, then that could be a sign that you have low thyroid. As you can see, mine is in range. Now, is this kind of excellent? I don't really know if it's excellent, but it doesn't being highlighted. It gives us something that I can definitely work on, but there's not really any action to take as such. But things that I can work on is reducing my stress levels, which actually we're going to cover in just a second, and my recovery and my nutrition. There's always things you can work on. This is why when you get these numbers, it's almost, okay, that could be a little bit better. So that's my thyroid. Okay, the next one then, because we just talked about thyroid, we're going to talk about cortisol. So cortisol is the stress hormone. But I don't like to call it the stress hormone. I like to call it the alertness hormone. I've just actually done a podcast episode on this, which you can, if you high performance gym, I might link it to this if I can. But anyway, you can go and listen to that. But basically, I see cortisol as the alertness hormone. So it's essential hormone to get you alert and focused and ready to take on that big challenge in life. The problem is, in this day and age, most people have chronic levels of cortisol, and having chronic levels of cortisol can be really bad because it suppresses hormones, increases body fat, causes fatigue. It's very detrimental. It can cause burnout, and that's the big thing. High levels of cortisol could cause burnout. And I've been through my story before where I've actually been burnt out twice, actually. And this is actually one of the reasons that I wanted to get my blood test done. So I was curious to what my cortisol levels are like. I knew they were going to be high because I do have some stress in my life at the minute I'm dealing with. And other things as well. We have a little one. Sometimes she's getting through the night. Sometimes my sleep's not the best it can be. So I knew my cortisol levels were going to be high, and they are high. Not massively high, but they are over what they should be, okay? So cortisol levels are absolutely essential that you understand what these levels are at, because then you can start working on them. So how am I going to break these down? How am I going to work on it and make these better? So the first one is stress management or stress control. Again, I spoke about this in my podcast episode. It's not about eliminating cortisol. Like, cortisol is essential for alertness. It's essential for goal achievement. Like, you need that, but it's also detrimental to your health. So you've got to be able to control your stress. I don't really like the word stress management. I prefer stress control. So things like breath work, just being mindful of how you're feeling. That's a big one. So you go through your day, and are you feeling stressed out? Are you feeling at a point where you feel you need to have a break? That's like kind of mindfulness. So in understanding, are these things that I'm doing either giving me energy or taking my energy away? And if things are taking your energy away, then that causes stress. If things give you energy, then they generally don't cause you stress. And that's a kind of good way to look at it. So going for walks in nature, that's one of my favorite things to do. Better sleep. Sleep is the key to reducing the cortisol levels. All right. So if you want to reduce your cortisol levels, sleep is absolutely crucial. Now, sleep is something I have always struggled with. Not to get to sleep. I'm actually pretty good at sleeping. Once I'm asleep, I'm pretty good. But not abusing sleep's the wrong word. Not getting enough, not going to bed in time, because it's always been something else I have to do. Like when I had my gym, I was surviving on 4 to 5 hours sleep a night, and my cortisol levels back then must have been absolutely through the roof. Now at the minute, I'm probably at about 7 hours, and I'm trying my best to make up the best quality 7 hours that I can get. But having small kids, your sleep can be disruptive. So better sleep hygiene, so reducing blue light, consistent bed schedule, going to bed and getting up at the same time every day is absolutely crucial for that. And just being really aware of improving your sleep quality. And then training, not overtraining. I could be overtraining. I don't think I am. But that can be a cause of high cortisol levels as well. You're under recovering. So these are kind of things to look at. So cortisol in women. So women are more sensitive to chronic stress, which can disrupt the menstrual cycle. It can increase your cravings, impact your mood. Really managing your cortisol levels are essential for hormonal regulation. I hate the word balance because hormonal balance doesn't exist, but harnessing your hormones is probably the best way to think about it. So yeah, so cortisol is really important. So the next one I'm going to bring you to is vitamin D. So as you can see here with my vitamin D levels, they are above the bottom range, although they could be better. So vitamin D is essential for testosterone production, immune function, recovery, but more importantly, it's essential for bone health. Basically get most of our vitamin D from the sun. Now we live in England. I don't know where you live. You could be listening to this and you could be living in a really sunny country. I live in England. I live in the north of England where we have very little sun exposure. And actually at the moment, I'm not actually taking any vitamin D supplements. I was taking them for a while. I haven't taken any for a while. And I was really curious what this was going to be. But even though we're not taking any vitamin D supplements and we're in the middle of winter, we're in January now, my levels of vitamin D is still at 91. Now I can improve that by just taking some vitamin D supplements and pushing that up a little bit. But vitamin D is absolutely crucial, especially for women as well. But if you've got low vitamin D, then this is linked to osteoporosis risk, hormonal imbalances, and actually low vitamin D is also linked to depression. Now, what we've got to think about as well, especially in the winter months, is we get this condition called SAD, so seasonal affective disorder. And this affects a lot of people. Some people it doesn't affect. I don't particularly get it. I prefer the sun, but I don't particularly get SAD, like that seasonal affective disorder. But maybe if my levels were lower, then I would be getting that. So that's something to think about. So we're talking about like seasonal affective disorder. Up in your vitamin D intake. But we've got to be also conscious that we don't allow vitamin D to go too high. So this is why it's not just mindlessly going to get vitamin D injections and hoping that's going to be the solution. We should be getting these kind of levels tested and seeing if we actually need them. Now, the last ones I'm going to bring you to are testosterone and these two hormones here. Now, these two hormones are very important, and we're going to explain just why now. But first of all, let's just have a quick talk about estradiol. So, estradiol, at the mind, it's balanced. But why is this important? Estradiol, or people know this as estrogen, okay, but estrogen is actually the family name. There's actually 3 types of estrogens. You've got estradiol, you've got esterone, and your estriol. Okay, we're not going to worry about too much about the other two. Estradiol is like the essential one. That's like the leader. And that's when we're talking about sort of estrogen, we're really talking about estradiol. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. And this is really important for your cardiovascular health, energy, performance, in women particularly, not so much in guys. But what it is really important for is bone health. Bone health. And for guys, for me, I need estrogen or estradiol in my life, because if I don't, then that's how my bones are formed. My bones are being formed through estradiol. That's how my form is. That's how my bones are strong because of that. If I didn't have estradiol, then I would be at risk of osteoporosis. And this is why women in menopause are at risk of osteoporosis, brittle bones, because basically they have low levels of estradiol. And this is why HRT can be a good addition to women who are perimenopause or certainly in menopause. And estrogen is also important for kind of brain function. So this is why when women go through perimenopause, they experience things like brain fog, mood swings, and this is all to do with estrogen, because estrogen becomes, or estradiol becomes sporadic. It goes high, goes low, goes high, goes low as it starts to decline. And this is why women start to get brain fog, to get mood swings, like angry, and they don't know why that's happening. And it's all to do with estradiol. Okay, so you can see that mine's in normal ranges. So how I'm going to balance this out, I'm going to keep it balanced out, is kind of is maintaining a relatively lean body mass. I've got excess fat, and I can convert testosterone into estradiol, which I don't want. I'm going to limit alcohol and processed foods. Again, if I've got high alcohol and highly processed foods, just to elevate your estradiol levels. So again, estradiol in women. So for women in particular, really focus on, like this one here, estradiol is really what you want to be looking at, because especially as you're coming into your 40s, if you are coming into your 40s, because this starts to decline, starts to go sporadic. You feel the symptoms anyway, but it is good to have an understanding of where your levels are at. Now, the next one I'm going to bring you to is testosterone. So testosterone, why does this matter? So basically, it's a primary male sex hormone. So this is essential for things like muscle growth, strength, libido, and motivation. Women, ladies, you need testosterone too, okay? Don't be scared of testosterone. Like, men produce 15 times more testosterone than women do. You need testosterone in your life. It's really essential for, again, for your energy, fatigue, sex drive. If you've got low levels, you may have poor muscle tone. Again, brain fog, because testosterone replacement is actually used in menopause, perimenopause, because testosterone levels might be suppressed. Which I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, by the way. We'll save that for another one. But anyway, you could have low levels of testosterone, which again, testosterone therapy is used for women in perimenopause to up those testosterone levels. So testosterone is a really essential hormone, both for men and for women. But what I want to touch on here, because this is something that is bugging me at the minute, I'll be honest. But before I go into that, you see my levels are quite high, 27.8, which I was quite pleased about. I actually thought they might have been low because I knew my stress levels were high, but actually they're not too bad. They're pretty good. But what I want to do is I want to show you something now that doesn't get spoken about, but is absolutely crucial, especially for guys, because there's certain individuals at the moment who are promoting TRT, so testosterone replacement therapy, TRT. Basically, what certain individuals are doing, they are body shaming men into thinking that their testosterone levels are low. So basically, they're preying on people who are overweight, body shaming them, and then getting them to take testosterone tests, getting them to test their testosterone, then telling them that their testosterone is low, and then selling them TRT. Now, there's a problem with that. One, body shaming is absolutely disgusting, and that shouldn't be done. Anybody who body shames, like, you want to just avoid and keep away from those types of people. It's disgusting. However, when we're talking about low testosterone, there's actually two ways this can happen. I'm going to tell you exactly what this is now, because this is so important to understand. And this comes down to these two hormones here. Okay. So what we're going to look at is when testosterone is low, this is known as hypogonadism. All right. But there's two types of hypogonadism. And this is what I'm going to touch on now. The first one, I'm going to try and explain this in the best way that I can. Think about your crown jewels. Your crown jewels is where you produce testosterone. That is where testosterone is produced. Think of these, your crown jewels, as a factory where testosterone is made and produced, okay? Now, let's talk about primary hypogonadism. Primary hypogonadism, so let's call this number one. So number one is basically your crown jewels, your factory, isn't producing testosterone. Now, these two hormones here, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, these are messengers sent from your brain down to your crown jewels to produce and release testosterone. Okay? These two hormones here, if you get tested and these two hormones here are low, mine in range, so that's pretty good. But if these two here were high, if these were over these markers here and they were high, that would indicate that I had primary hypogonadism. What that means is my crown jewels aren't producing testosterone. So there's a problem there. So that's when medical treatment would become an intervention. That's probably when things like TRT, particularly, might come in for the old person. But this is why some kids, some young guys, some young boys, they do have primary hypogonadism and they have to go into testosterone therapy. So their crown jewels then start producing it, and these two hormones here can then do their work and messengers and come down and let that kind of be used into the body. So that's type 1. Number two is basically you have testosterone in your crown jewels. Your factory is working absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with the factory. The problem is these two messengers aren't actually sending messages to the factory to produce and release testosterone into the body. Now that's the problem. These two hormones, when they're underactive, that can be down to a lot of different things. But this is when we really look at, it could be down to age, it could be down to something going on internally, there could be a medical condition there, but also what there could be an issue with is their lifestyle factors. So when we talk about guys being overweight, having high levels of stress, eating really rubbish food, not exercising, these types of things, so really a bad lifestyle. When these levels here are low, that indicates that that could be the issue. Now, if these levels are lower, and you then start taking TRT because some guy off the internet told you that your testosterone levels are low, that might not actually be the issue. If you start taking TRT, when you don't actually need it, what you actually need to do is sort your lifestyle out, you then become reliant on TRT. Because you're taking TRT, or you're taking like an external source of testosterone, your crown jewels, your factory then stops making testosterone. Yeah? This is what's known as secondary hypogonadism. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you're seeing people on the internet selling TRT, then you might actually need it. This is why getting your blood tests done, getting your markers done, and understanding what these mean. So if I got testosterone done, and that was the only thing that I got done, and that was, say, I don't know, that was below 8 and that was 7, and then some guy says, I actually need TRT, and I start taking TRT, but actually, these levels here weren't tested, but if I knew that these levels were actually quite low, then the chances that I don't need to take TRT, I just need to sort my lifestyle out. And that's what I want to bring. And I'm not saying what I'm saying is you need to get medical advice, not take advice of people selling TRT on the internet. Anyway, that was the blood markers. That was the 9. So we went through HbA1c. So that is basically your blood sugar levels, your insulin sensitivity, ferritin, which is, think about that as iron and energy, your cortisol, so your stress or your alertness hormone, your stress levels, your thyroid function, your metabolism. Then you have the sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and the luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which are the key messengers to stimulate those sex hormones. And then we have vitamin D. So that was all my markers there. As you can see, I've got things to work on there. But I do highly recommend that you maybe get your blood done as well, and then just see where you're at and what you can do and what you can start doing to make those even better. So I hope that was helpful. I hope I've made some sense with that and didn't run off too much off down into a rabbit hole. So yeah, let me know how you found that.